Hidden healthcare taxes on middle-class Americans explained. 2025 GOP budget impact. Here's the staggering truth. While Republicans rushed to make permanent, massive tax cuts for ultra-wealthy households, they just handed millions of working Americans a multi-billion-dollar hike in healthcare costs. A move that's about to crash down as a $335 billion tax increase over the next decade. This isn't just a policy debate. It's a textbook case of one set of rules for the rich and another for everyone else. Gene Sperling, a top economic advisor to Clinton, Obama, and Biden, points out the glaring contradiction in the GOP's budget strategy. Republicans claim that extending Trump's 2017 tax cuts, including a $30 million state tax exemption for wealthy couples, wouldn't boost deficits, arguing these were current policy they were merely preserving. But when it came to the enhanced premium tax credits, PTCs from Biden's ACA expansion, which kept healthcare affordable for over 22 million Americans, the same logic vanished. Like the Trump tax breaks, these subsidies were also set to expire. But unlike those tax breaks, Republicans allowed the PTCs to die, creating a devastating reality for middle-class families. Let's unpack the real-world consequences. Imagine this. A family of four earning $65,000 would face an extra $2,383 in health costs next year. A 60-year-old couple making $82,000 would see their premiums skyrocket by $18,361, a 22% income hit. And those numbers might be optimistic because insurance markets are about to get hit with a double whammy. The harsh truth, ending subsidies threatens the health insurance pool itself. Healthier individuals who joined ACA plans because the expanded PTC made them affordable might now drop coverage, leaving a sicker, costlier population. Insurers already project additional premium hikes of 3.5% to 9.7% specifically due to the subsidy expiration. But wait, didn't Republicans claim this would be offset by their proposed tax cuts? No. Take a construction worker with a spouse and two kids earning $65,000. They might get a $1,050 income tax cut, but still lose $1,826 to tariffs and $2,383 to healthcare costs, a net loss of $3,160. A hairdresser making $32K would lose nearly $2,000 after accounting for tax cuts and tariff-related price spikes. A recent backtracking by some Republicans suggests panic. Plans to insert midterm fixes now backfire politically, and over 20 million Americans will experience premium shock before Thanksgiving. But damage control won't erase the larger assault. Trump's budget could strip coverage from 4.2 million people and cut Medicaid for millions more. The real question, can America have a tax system that rewards wealth while ignoring working families' essentials? This GOP's one big beautiful bill as a one-way street for the rich, but when healthcare budgets quake elsewhere, millions will feel the crunch. The clock is ticking. Will politicians finally address this glaring inequity before elections, or will voters make that decision for them? Rep. Angie Craig fights against healthcare cuts. Press conference highlights. Picture this. Millions of Americans on the brink of losing life-saving healthcare entirely because of partisan battles in Congress. And this harsh reality hit home during Rep. Angie Craig's virtual press conference with Protect Our Care Minnesota, where she condemned recent GOP-backed proposals to slash healthcare funding. Working and middle-class Minnesotans will die because Republicans are putting party ideology over people's lives, Craig declared, quoting a phrase that cuts through political rhetoric. Her stance is clear. Affordable healthcare isn't a privilege, but a human right. Yet critics counter that such cuts target wasteful spending and aim to reduce national debt. Where do you stand? The proposed cuts threaten healthcare access for 17 million Americans, Craig warns, while shifting costs to states could trigger property tax hikes. But here's the kicker. These changes disproportionately affect vulnerable populations reliant on Medicaid. Craig, who previously fought to cap insulin prices and expand healthcare affordability, vows to keep fighting, a stance her supporters hail as moral courage, while opponents label it as fiscally irresponsible. Bills introduced by Craig include H.R. 3555, the Rapid Reserve Act aiming to address climate emergencies, H.R. 3755, the Safe Stay Act, focusing on housing security, H.R. 3275, the Small Business Tax Relief Act, H.R. 2999, the You Earned It, You Keep It Act, H.R. 2624. The Humble Act. Details pending. Fundraising updates. Craig raised $170K in Q2, 59.7% for individuals, spent $1.2 million, and holds $26K cash on hand. While these figures show strong financial activity, they also raise questions about campaign finance's role in shaping policy debates. Note, this summary is AI generated and may contain inaccuracies. View the original release here, http://craig.house.gov/media/press releases/Rep. Craig joins Protect Our Care Minnesota, Congressional Republicans. Query: should healthcare access outrank deficit concerns? Comment below. To weigh in, which priorities matter most to you? GOP's Medicaid cuts, a major blow to the health industry. In a stunning political maneuver, the GOP has prioritized presidential approval over the stability of America's healthcare system, leaving hospitals, insurers, and doctors scrambling to assess the fallout. But here's where it gets controversial. The party's rush to please Donald Trump led to sweeping Medicaid cuts that could strip coverage from millions and shutter hospitals, despite fierce warnings from the very industries that typically hold immense sway in Washington. And this is the part most people miss. The health sector's long-standing influence couldn't shield them this time, as lawmakers chose loyalty to the White House over the needs of their constituents. Could this be a turning point in the balance of power between politics and public health? Let's dive deeper. For weeks, healthcare providers from doctors to insurers raised alarms about a proposed tax and spending bill. They warned that slashing Medicaid funding, America's $900 billion safety net program for 72 million low-income and disabled people, would devastate hospitals and leave millions without coverage. Yet Republican leaders pressed forward, fast-tracking the bill through Congress in under 2 months and sending it to Trump's desk for a July 4th signature. The move marked a rare defeat for a sector that has historically blocked harmful legislation through relentless lobbying. But this time, the calculus changed. Why? Many lobbyists admit they underestimated the political stakes. GOP lawmakers, they argue, feared angering Trump more than facing backlash from voters or hospitals in their districts. As Bob Kocher, a former Obama administration advisor, put it, members were more scared of Trump issuing a primary challenge than disappointing local voters, who may find their hospital has to close or their insurance premium may go up. Consider Senator Thom Tillis of North Carolina. After opposing the bill due to Medicaid cuts, Trump threatened to back a challenger, and Tillis promptly announced his retirement. That's the kind of pressure that reshapes priorities. Another twist? The health industry's warnings were drowned out by political optics. Hospitals and insurers are seen as staunch defenders of the Affordable Care Act, the ACA, a law that no Republican supported and which has long been a lightning rod for GOP frustration. Ceci Connolly of the Alliance of Community Health Plans noted that lawmakers seem to prioritize delivering a major victory for President Trump over listening to concerns about rural hospital closures or soaring premiums. Even a $50 billion fund for rural healthcare, a last-minute concession, felt like a Band-Aid on a deeper wound. The bill's Medicaid provisions are particularly contentious. While it spares the federal share of funding for states that expanded Medicaid under the ACA, it imposes new work requirements. Enrollees must log 80 hours of work or volunteerism monthly to keep coverage. Experts predict this could strip 5 million people of healthcare by 2034. Meanwhile, the law ends automatic enrollment in health insurance marketplaces, a move critics argue will reverse pandemic-era gains in coverage. This isn't just about money, says Charles Kahn, a hospital lobbyist. It's about reshaping the system to fit Trump's vision, not the people's needs. But not all is lost. The health sector scored minor victories that preserving open-ended federal funding for Medicaid and blocking caps on program growth. Yet the long-term damage is undeniable. Hospitals already underfunded compared to private insurers and Medicare now face stricter provider tax rules that limit their ability to secure federal dollars. Some lawmakers even bought into the idea that hospitals were profiteering through these taxes, a narrative pushed by conservative groups like the Paragon Health Institute. Still, the message from Capitol Hill is clear. Trump's agenda trumps healthcare stability. As Todd Epler, a Louisiana hospital CEO, puts it, "I'm happy where we ended up. I think they listened to rural hospitals, But others aren't so sure, with the health industry's lobbying efforts criticized as too soft, too little, too late. The question remains, will these cuts lead to closures, job losses, and a crisis in rural healthcare? Or will Congress revisit the law after the 2026 midterms? Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe the GOP's gamble will backfire? Or is this a new era of healthcare politics, where presidential loyalty wins every time?